Hello creative friends, this is Joy coming to you with another art journal page. I wanted to do an art journal page but really didn't have an idea of what to do, so I decided I would use my inspiration sticks to create an art journal page. And the first stick that I pulled was scrap paper, and so I pulled just some different pieces of paper from my scrap box and started tearing it into pieces to put on this page. And it's funny because, after I got all of these pieces of paper on the page, I was so happy and pleased, and with all of these scrap papers. And but by time I was done with this page, you cannot see any of it. It all completely got covered up. So although this step may, I guess, add some texture to the page, it would have been nice to be able to see more of the, you know, papers underneath so that you could see, the music note and the print and the maps and all that. So unfortunately, this step, wasn't as productive as I had thought it would be. I'm just using gesso to gesso down the pieces on the paper, because that kind of tones them down so that they're not so bright and pushes them in the background. And so here I'm just filling in any extra spots with what, little bit of scraps I have left. It probably would have been helpful to take like a, excuse me, baby wipe and went over the pieces of paper to try to expose more of them. But the real culprit is this next step. I got the next stick was to use metallic paint or whatever. And this just completely obliterated any of what you could see through the gesso. I don't know again if I had taken a baby wipe and remove some of the gesso, if it would have made a difference to where you could have seen a little bit more of it. But I think probably not, because of metallic paint. Even though I put it on as thin as I could, with the shininess of it, it just reflects too much light, and you just don't really see any of the pattern that's left. So the next stick that I pulled here was a stamp. Oh, I'm sorry, not a stamp, but a border. I got it said to put a border, so I got this stamp that I thought would make a nice border. I was gonna go all the way around. It just seemed like it was gonna be too much, so I did the top and the bottom with this stamp. And then I just pulled out my Posca pen and just did some squiggly lines on the side of the pages, on both sides, just to kind of complete the border. And here, it didn't stamp really well, so I was trying to go back in and get it to stamp better, but then it was, for some reason, tearing up the paper. It was sticking to the stamp and tearing it up, so you could see that there was a little tear in the page there, but I just kind of covered it up, and, it was fine. And it's, the stamping still wasn't as nice as I would have liked, but, I was happy with it. And you just saw me there with the Posca pen, just kind of doing some squiggly lines. So then the next stick that I pulled was random words. Again, since I was so early in the stage of doing this page, I had no clue what the page was going to be about, so I just kind of did some scribbling. I didn't really do any kind of words, but I like the look. I mean, it kind of gives you the look, even though it's not legible, or it's not really a word. And then the next thing, the stick that I pulled next was dots. So I pulled out my Posca pens, and I just decided to use two different colors, the red and the orange, to just put random dots on this page. And again, at this point, I'm still like, okay, let's get to something here because I'm clueless of what we're doing. And so, anyway, the next stick that I pulled was stamping, or stamps. So I decided to pull out some stamps. And I thought, since, I had the copper metallic background, I would do, like some gear stamps and some clock stamps on this background. I thought, well, that seems to kind of go, I guess, with, the direction. Oh, and some stamping of a key. That seems to go with, what I got going on here so far. But still not exactly sure what we're doing or what direction we're going to take. So then the next stick that I pulled said gears, and so I went in my stash and I pulled these gears out that I actually had made some time ago, and basically it's a Sizzix die cut. It's for large gears that I cut out of like browned cardstock, and then I kind of went over them with a couple of different metallic paints for another project, and I had these left over, so I pulled those out. I thought those would work well on this page, and then I decided that I needed to figure out what else I was going to put on this page and just try to complete, the page at this point. So I went through my stash and I found this picture of the eyeglass and this other picture of this painting from Dali, and I thought, I liked those and that they would go on the page. And I also ended up finding a quote that I liked. Actually, I found a couple quotes, and so I wasn't really sure if I was going to put them all on here or not, but I did find several quotes that I thought might work on this page. And but I ended up just putting one quote on the page. I believe. I think I just ended up putting one quote on here. And for the looking glass, I mean, I kind of like the colors that were coming off of it, but it didn't seem to go with the page. So I ended up cutting that off. I decided, no, I guess I'm not going to do that. I decided to do something else. I thought it would be interesting if I had, if I punched a hole in the looking glass and then actually put a string through there and then had the string kind of go across both pages. So that was what I decided to do with this looking glass. And so that's what I'm doing here. I'm pulling out some string that I have. And I was going to go with the black and white, but the white just seemed a little too stark. And there was another string there that was black and gray, and I thought, that worked a little better. So I ended up taking a length of that string and using it for putting on this looking glass and having it go across both pages. And then, you saw me there. I was like, well, should I have it go around the picture? But I decided, no, that's too much. So we just went across the two pages with the string. So the quote that I ended up putting on this page says, "The world is a looking glass and gives back to every man the reflection of his own face. Frown at it and it will in turn look sour upon you. Laugh at it and with it, and it is a jolly, kind companion." So that was what the quote said that I ended up putting on this page. And so I like that, and it kind of went with the looking glass that I have on here and the picture that I wanted to put on here. So that's the quote I ended up putting on this page. But I decided I wanted this picture on here as a tape transfer because, then that way you could see the background through it with the stamping and all of that. And so I've just put some packing tape across the picture, and I'm using the back of my scissors to burnish the picture really well. And then I spray water on it and then just start peeling up, the paper pulp. So you'll see that here in a minute. I really like doing these tape transfers. They're a lot of fun to do. I've tried to do like a image using I think they use Mod Podge. Well, no, not Mod Podge. I don't remember what they use, but they use some kind of something like that, and they, you know, somehow get the image on a page. And I have tried that so many different ways, so many different times with different things, and I've not been able to be successful. This is the only way that I've really been successful with getting, any kind of a image transfer is by using packing tape, and it seems to work really well. So that's what I usually is my go-to if I want to do any kind of a transfer of an image. And then I cut it out with my scissors and end up attaching that to the page. The one thing that I didn't do, which I wish I would have, is I just used some Aleene's tacky glue, which you'll see that here in a minute, to put on the back of this and attach it to the page. And because I figured, it's going to dry clear and it'll be fine. But I should have probably used my finger or paintbrush to kind of spread it out and have it evenly across the back of the transfer, because when it dried, the areas that didn't have any glue on over it or under it kind of puckered up and bubbled. I don't know. It was kind of weird, but it's fine. I mean, this is just, my art journal to, play in and do whatever. So it's not like I'm creating any kind of a masterpiece here. It's just, me having fun and being creative, which is why I like to do art journaling, because I love being creative and doing different things. So here I'm putting down the looking glass, and I use the Aleene's glue to glue down the string because I wanted it, to be in a certain shape, across the pages. So that's what I'm doing here, gluing down how I want the strings to lay across the pages. And I really like the way this art journal page turned out. It turned out really, really cool. I was pretty pleased with it in the end. And then I put down my quote, trace around it with a black Posca pen, and then I end up adding a key. But that's pretty much the page, art journal page for this week. I hope you guys like it. If you do, you can hit the like button, or you can subscribe to my channel if you have not done so already, to see more art journal pages in the future. Or you can leave a comment. I would love to hear from you. I just do these art journal pages, again, like I was saying, because I like being creative and doing something creative. I'm not affiliated with any products. It's just me having fun and enjoying, doing, something creative. Yeah, and here's where I go through my stash and I find a copper key to add. I thought that was appropriate for the page. So for heavier elements like this, I always use an Elmer's Craft Bond quick dry glue. That seems to work pretty good for these heavier elements and keeps them secure on my art journal pages. So that's pretty much the page for today. Thank you guys for stopping by. Hope you liked the page, and we'll talk to you again later. Bye-bye.